Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be men and women who play games. Well, I've got 5 emails I'm going to go through with you. 2 of them are from women and 3 of them are from guys. But before we get into it, I've got a quote that I wrote I want to share with you. And it says, being attached to a particular outcome or action by a member of the opposite sex who you are involved with in relationships is one of the primary causes of drama, game playing, dysfunction, and suffering. Men and women both play games where they mask their true intentions, feelings, desires, needs, and wants out of fear that they will look stupid, get their heart broken, be taken advantage of, or face rejection. Operating from a place of fear and holding back is the opposite of love. Love is giving without expectations or attachment to anything you want in return, and having gratitude for whatever shows up as a consequence of your giving. Loving yourself means standing up for what you want and communicating that, but also leaving the relationship if the other person can't or won't meet your needs so you can find someone who will. Let's get into the first email, and I believe this one is from a woman. She says, "Hey Corey, I just started watching your videos after a fallout with a relationship. I've had 2 relationships previous to this experience. Neither were balanced or healthy, and both relationships ended because the guy cheated. I recently met a man, and I really liked him a lot. As usual, he was too shy to approach me, but would always be checking me out, and we knew each other before being introduced." Well, that should tell you right there that the dude lacks confidence. And if the guy lacks confidence to approach you, there's probably a lot of other things going on behind the scenes, and that's why a lot of women won't even give a guy like that the time of day, because of, obviously, most women know that guys like this just don't get it. Not only do they lack confidence, they don't, oftentimes they'll come off as being needy, or they don't know how to court them properly. And enough women have had their hearts stepped on where they usually just, like I said, don't give these kinds of dudes the time of day, unless of course they're just instantly attracted to the guy and they're overwhelmed by their physical attraction. The key for both men and women in these situations is to remain objective and really look at the other person and see how their body language and their physiology and what it communicates to you about their level of self-esteem. People with confidence, they'll look you right in the eye and they won't look away, and they'll smile because they like what they see. Guys with confidence will come over and talk to you. But guys that hesitate, there's a lot of other areas of their life that they're hesitating because they're in a fearful state. You can tell a lot about people just by observing them. She says, "I felt like there was a connection right away, and as soon as we hung out alone, we ended up having sex. The best sex I've ever had, in fact." Well, that's always nice. "He warned me right off the bat that he wasn't interested in a relationship, but said we could see each other and see where things go. I know he started a relationship the same way with the girl he was seeing before. They were just friends, but not exclusive. However, he acted loyal, they took pictures of each other kissing, and he would buy her stuff and watch girly movies with her. Bottom line, it was a relationship for him, not just sex. She bragged and laughed about how whipped he was. Obviously, he was pussy whipped. It seems to me he fell for her, and after a couple of months, he communicated that he wanted to be exclusive and committed, but she didn't feel the same, and it turns out she was sleeping with another guy." Remember, it's just kind of casual, hanging out, having fun, and hooking up together, and that's what you see, is that until a woman gets to a point where she really feels that deep emotional bond and connection with a guy, she's going to continue dating other people. Because she's looking, I mean, we all want the best that we can get for ourselves. But that's why it's always so important to see how much the other person is investing in the relationship, so you don't get yourself into a situation where you're giving more to the relationship than they are, to the point where you're doing most of the giving and they're doing most of the taking. He kept pursuing her until she just stopped talking to him, aka she just started ignoring him. When I started sleeping over, he still had all the stuff she had left at his house for overnight stays, and she had been out of the picture for a couple of months. I didn't tell him it bothered me, but it really did. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really none of your business. You're just casually hooking up with him. And so you got to examine, like, why are you feeling that way? Why does it really bother you that he still got things from his ex there? That tells me you're a little bit in a fearful state that you may, because you obviously heard how into her he was, and you're probably in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wow, maybe he's keeping all this stuff because he's hoping she may come back. Remember, you're just casually hooking up, and he told you, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. And in that perspective, he was probably, when you met him, he was probably still licking his wounds from the fact that he got dumped. And so he was in that place, and he kind of did everything right in the beginning, other than the fact that he didn't have any confidence to approach you initially. But if the guy really knew what he was doing, he wouldn't have got dumped by this other girl. It just simply wouldn't have happened. He would have been able to maintain the attraction, the relationship, and keep her head over heels in love. She says, I commented on it, and he laughed it off and said he forgot about it. Probably not true. He probably didn't know what to say. So I asked him why he doesn't just throw the stuff out. I mean, it was all cheap dollar store stuff anyway, and some lotion. Then he told me he would give it back to her when he saw her again. I was appalled. Sounds like you're getting a little jealous, a little insecure because you fear losing this dude to another woman. And that's an understandable fear. However, if you really perceived yourself as a catch and an amazing woman, you wouldn't give a shit one way or another. You'd have the attitude that, hey, if he ends up going back to her, I mean, at the end of the day, they have a lot of time in together. And you just started hanging out and having fun and hooking up with her. And so it's obvious that he was still probably a little hung up on her. And the best thing you can do is you got to love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And these kind of feelings that you're having here are wanting to corral him and get him all to yourself. And when you come from that place, a fearful place like that, you're going to make him want to pull away and not get close to you. She says, I was appalled because he told me that he stopped, or that she stopped talking to him, and that's how it ended. So obviously she didn't want any of the crap that she left there. I let it go, but I realized the lack of commitment and seeing how he starts his relationships bothered me. You should trust that, because what you realize right away is there's something's not really right about this guy. And the reason why he did so many things right with you is because he was still hung up on his ex, obviously. So he was able to have an indifferent, take it or leave it kind of attitude towards a relationship in the beginning. Why play this game where we pretend we are just friends, not making this intimate connection? Well, again, you're not being patient with him. And probably this is also affecting how you're showing up. You're probably coming off as a little needy and insecure to him at times, which is not helping your case. That's why letting the other person come to you is part of perceiving yourself as a catch. And in most instances, all the women I've ever dated in my life, and I've been in relationships, all of them do 70 to 80%, 90% of the calling, texting, and pursuing. And that's just the way it is, because feminine energy is about bonding, connection, relationships, commitments, those kinds of things. But it should never come from a place of neediness where you get butthurt, basically, if he's not emotionally at the same place. But what you can look at is, hey, he's not really investing as much into this relationship as I am. And you should be keeping your options open at this point, because you recognize right away your spidey sense was tingling a little bit and telling you that things weren't so kosher with this dude. He at one point even told me that he didn't want to invest time in a relationship because everyone always leaves him. Well, what does that tell you about his self-esteem? He thinks he's a loser and he can't keep the women in his life, which is obviously true because he obviously hasn't read my book yet and he doesn't know about my work. And so he looks at it and just says, oh, well, there's something wrong with me, but yet he's not willing to do anything to learn to fill in his knowledge gap. And a lot of guys are like that. Men tend to be very egocentric and they don't want to admit that they need help. And one of the interesting statistics is that 95% of the self-help books on relationships and dating are bought by women and only 5% by men. That tells you a lot right there. So he's got issues and he's just admitting that, and obviously that's not going to make him appear very attractive. It shows a total lack of self-confidence, which obviously is a turnoff. Basically, he's saying, I don't deserve to have what I want. I don't deserve to have the kind of woman that I want. And guys that feel like that will often settle for women that they're really not into, because since they're not really into them, they can take it or leave it. They're indifferent, which really helps the woman become attracted to them. And that's why a lot of women read my book, is to understand that, so they can judge whether or not a guy's really into her, or he's just kind of going along with things because he doesn't have the confidence or the skills to get the kind of woman that he really wants. She says, is it possible he can't see the difference between me and this bar star that he fell for? I felt so vulnerable and scared because I was falling for him hard, and he was playing this game of denial to such an extreme point. Again, you always look at what people do, not what they say. It's like what Dale Carnegie said over 100 years ago. The older I get, the less I listen to what people say, and the more I pay attention to what they do. And so instead of getting all goo goo gaga over him, you got to look and say, well, this guy's a little fucked up. And doesn't seem like he's doing anything to improve his relationship, dating, or his pickup skills. He lacks self-confidence, and he doesn't think very highly of himself. He doesn't perceive himself as a catch. And you got to recognize those things. Those are glaring red flags that you're seeing, but you're ignoring them because you're getting all wrapped up in your own fantasy that you have in your head about this situation. She says, in one lascivious conversation, I said, do you want to fuck me? And he had to kill the mood by saying, no, I just want to fuck. Needless to say, I didn't end up going over there that night. Again, you wanted to hook up with him, but because you were attached to him reacting a certain way, you got butthurt about it. It was like, okay, well, I'm going to withhold the pussy then. I'm not going over to see him. If you wanted to hook up, then go over and hook up with him. And if you wanted him to talk to you in a different way, say, hey, you know what? When you say things like that, it makes me feel like you really don't care about me. I would really appreciate it if you would say it like this. Of course I want to fuck you. You got to communicate like that. Men, we're logic and thinking and rational beings. We're not emotionally based where we understand the examples, or most guys don't understand where you're coming from. And that's why you got to be very explicit when you talk to a guy and you're trying to give him instructions on how you want him to treat you. It's like literally sit, lay down, roll over, just like you talk to a dog. Because you have to be that clear. Otherwise, he's not going to get it. And it doesn't help this situation for you to get butthurt that he's not showing up a certain way. It's like you have this idea in your head, this fantasy of the way this guy should be, and then when he doesn't match it, you get pissed off. In other words, you have these unreasonable expectations, and since he doesn't live up to them, you're like, oh, I'm going to punish him, and I'm going to go over and have sex with him now. That's not, the whole purpose of our relationships is you go there to give. You're there to help each other grow and become more. You're there to meet each other's needs. And now you're purposely holding back because he didn't meet your unreasonable expectations that he didn't even know about. But a lot of women automatically assume, well, this guy should know how to do all those things. Obviously, not every guy is like me and knows all the stuff that I know, but that's the way it is. And since you're the one that's here studying this stuff and learning from me, you have to make up for that by learning to be a better communicator so you can explicitly state what you want. And once you communicate to a guy explicitly what you want, he's either going to give it to you or he's not. And if he doesn't, you're going to say, well, obviously he's incapable of doing that. Therefore, I need to move on. He's obviously can't be what it is that I want. She says, when we talked in person, I told him how that upset me and that you really are so scared of us getting close that you don't even admit that you want to fuck me, or at least say it to be sexy. You're complaining instead of communicating. You got to understand, it's like from a guy's perspective, if you're happy, we're going to take credit for that. We feel like, hey, if you're happy, something I did, something we did. But if you're unhappy, which obviously you're unhappy, you're going to make him feel like a failure. When a man feels like a failure, because we're all success driven, we're literally wired biologically to achieve and succeed. And you're basically saying, you're not successful at making me happy. You suck. And that's how he's going to take it. So that's going to cause the man to withdraw and start holding back. And you're already holding back yourself, and now you're causing him to hold back because you're holding back. You're not helping the two of you grow closer together. Again, you're the one that's here watching my videos and reading my book, not him. So you're the only one I really have the opportunity to influence. So she says, who doesn't want to hear that? I totally agree with you. However, this particular guy doesn't know these things, and you can't expect him to know these things and then get pissed off when he doesn't. Just the way it is. I broke it down for him and he admitted, of course I'm attracted to you and want to fuck you, obviously. Like saying you want to fuck me when we are talking sexy really isn't going to cause us to fall in love. As if that's the most horrible thing in the world that would happen. Again, you're all butthurt because he's not in love with you. You got to understand and be patient with the fact that he's still licking his wounds after the last time he got rejected. He's obviously holding back. Be patient and be grateful of the things that he is doing. See, what you're starting to do now is because he's not reacting the way you want, you're starting to focus on all the things he's not doing right and that you don't like about him. And it's interesting how when you got together, you were focused on all the things that you liked about him. And this just becomes like a death spiral relationship. The more you focus on what's not working and what sucks, the more that starts to happen. He tries to tell me that he is heartless when he's the most sensitive guy in the world. After that, I started pushing him away and starting fights over nothing. Remember, if you've been watching me for a while, this is what I say. Women will sometimes shake shit up and create problems and create drama just to see what you do, to see if you can handle it. And here you have a woman that's admitting that she's doing that just to fucking see what happens. And of course he doesn't know any better, so obviously he doesn't handle it appropriately. And then she gets more pissed off, more upset, and more bitchy, more distant, and it just spirals out of control. Once we broke things off, I was so depressed because I felt like it could work if I could have played his game. I don't know if it was right or wrong to want a commitment of some sort. He at least agreed that we would be seeing each other exclusively, although he did say he wouldn't care if I slept with some other guy, which really pissed me off because I think that's a load of BS. Well, don't take it personally. He's giving you the freedom to come and go because you want more than he's able to give at this point. And then he's telling you, great, I'll be exclusive, but hey, if you want to sleep with another guy, in other words, he's saying, I can't really be what you want. I can't give you what you want. And if you find somebody better, then great. Go be with that other guy. That's what he's telling you. And I understand from a woman's perspective, you want him to fight for you. You want him to make you feel like he really cares about you and he values you and would be upset if you slept with another guy. I get that. However, the way you're behaving is not helping your relationship. It's not helping the two of you come closer together. You're building bricks in an invisible wall that's starting to separate the two of you, and it's hanging out, having fun, and hooking up that was going so well in the beginning. It's like once your emotions got engaged, then you started modifying your behavior and acting like a robot instead of just being understanding of his situation, the fact that he's a little fucked up. It's like it's not your job to fix him. You either love him the way he is, or leave him to go find a guy that does have some confidence to walk over and approach you and does understand how to communicate with you, like in the ways I teach. However, those guys are very rare. She says he was so heartbroken by this other girl messing around and leaving him, and not to be concerned, but in a way hotter for her, or way hotter than her. It's obvious to me he was trying to make a whore a housewife. Meanwhile, I'd be more than happy to be loyal to him and grow into love with him. I really want this guy, but I'm not sure how to go about this game. We are currently friends without benefits because I became so emotional. He's probably so scared of me at this point. Quite frankly, I'm taken aback by my reaction to the whole situation. I am so frustrated that he keeps putting up roadblocks instead of breaking them down. I get hurt and sad and push him away, because I've also been hurt in the past, and I can't rely on reading between the lines. I'm a woman, and sometimes we just need to hear shit. Well, you need to get back to the way you were in the beginning. Don't be such a pain in the ass. Understand that this guy just doesn't know these things. He doesn't have these skill set. And you can teach him, but you got to communicate explicitly what you want. And get back to having a casual relationship. If you want him to fuck the hell out of you, then tell him to come over and say, I miss you, I want you inside me. Tell him that. Go over to his house, bring a bottle of wine, pull his pants down, suck his dick, get him turned on, go for what you want. Don't hold back and sit there and expect the guy to do everything and to get everything right. You know, he's not a robot. But it's like you can see here, it's like I pointed out enough things in your email that you're doing a lot to sabotage your success in this relationship, and your two choices are either accept the way this guy is and modify your behavior, or blow them off and go find a guy who knows all these things and will know instinctively how to treat you. It's up to you. It's your choice. So let's get into the second email. And this one's from a guy. He says, "Hey, Corey, I hope you're doing well. I'm enjoying your video series and getting all your emails. I have a question for you. I've been dating a woman up in Denver, and I live in Colorado Springs, which is an hour south. I see her every other weekend, and I stay up there when I go up to school, and I stay over one night a week. We've been dating for about 3 months now, and we've exchanged the L word several times, and I know she cares about me. However, as always, relationships run into commitment bumps and awkwardness. We run into times when it just feels weird, almost like we haven't spent too much time together and need a break. I'm 50 and she's 49, and we're both pretty established in our lives. Well, almost. I've gone back to school recently, and I lost my job, and I'm looking for another one. I'm trying hard not to let my financial woes and insecurities come into play, but they come up. Google Corey Wayne how to get any job you want, and there's a bunch of articles that I wrote on there. And if you follow that plan, I promise you, you'll find a job, and you'll get a good job, the kind of job that you want." So he says, "I need to get back into the section of your book about relationships that are established and read up on it again. Does the 20% contact rule still apply at this point, or do I just do what comes natural and reach out regularly? If a woman is chasing you, she's not blowing you off. She's not getting rid of you. And when a guy does any more than 20 to 30% of the calling, texting, and pursuing, it is too much. It will ruin sexual anticipation. Women need to wonder about you. I mean, that's just a fact of life. It's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And when a guy starts calling and texting, pursuing more than 30%, his feelings become too clear to the point where she never has time to wonder what you're doing or what you're up to, where you're at, to the point where she wants to reach out and go, 'Hey, baby, I was thinking about you. I was wanting to know what you're doing, what you're up to. Or I saw a movie last night and it reminded me of you.' And you realize that the real reason she's reaching out is because she wants to see you. 'Hey, baby, that's nice to hear. Well, I'd really love to see you. I miss you. When are you free to get together?' And then you make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up, and then get the hell off the phone. It feels as if we have a pretty established relationship, although only 3 months young, and I truly get stuck when it comes to the maintaining the relationship step. I usually text her in the morning and wish her a good day, and she usually responds back. She'll text me later in the day or midday or evening about something, etc. Yeah, that's a bad habit of calling her and texting her every single morning. Women should be doing that, dude. It's like all my girlfriends have always done that. They've always been the ones to initiate that. Because I'm always focused on my mission and my purpose, and I use those as opportunities. And, unless we've already got a date set up, I'll use those as an opportunity to set the next date. You're pursuing too much. You're becoming predictable. It's becoming boring. It's becoming stale. We also talk on the phone almost every day or every other day. And yes, I know you say that's not a good thing and should only be used for setting up the next date, but at this age and when things are established, is the same rule set. Absolutely. Remember, you want her to be chasing and pursuing you. This is feminine energy. Feminine energy is about bonding, connection, reaching out, commitments, relationships. And when a woman wants to talk to you, because women are like cats, they come and go. Sometimes when they talk to you a lot or you spend a lot of time together, they get kind of bored. They don't want to hear from you or talk to you for a day or two. And then when they haven't heard from you, that's when they reach out. But if you're calling her every single day like a robot at the same time every morning, then she knows what to expect. It's boring. It's predictable. It ruins attraction. It's just a fact of life, dude. He says, I really like this lady, Corey, and I know she likes me too, but there are times I find myself being too oversensitive and criticizing in my head, but not verbally, her lack of responsiveness to my romantic advances or what she may or may not do. That is a direct result of you over pursuing too much. You're acting like the woman in the relationship here a lot, and it's ruining the sexual polarity. His example is she might not acknowledge something I say or text to her. In other words, an XO and a text or a comment I might make. I know not everyone is a good communicator, and I'm in sales and usually make it a point to hang on every word a woman or the person says and at least acknowledge what is said, even if it's not a question, i.e., I hope you slept well, yes I did. Well, again, you're getting butthurt over little things. She's not meeting your expectations, just like the woman in the email that I read a minute ago. And so you're getting upset at her behavior because it's not meeting your expectations. But you need to back off and stop with all these morning texts. And when she let her start doing more of that. It's not really an instantaneous thing. You just slowly start tapering it off, where you send her that text, like start doing it like every other day in the morning. And then see what she does with that. Back off a little bit. And then that'll let her start to wonder about you. It'll be slow and subtle. But what will happen is over the course of several weeks, as you slowly back that off and get the ratio down to 20 to 30% initiated on your part, she'll start reaching out more. And then that means when you get together, she'll be more excited to see you. She'll make more of an effort. He says, yes, I know I need to just lighten up and chill, and I do pretty good about that overall, but it still feels weird. Yeah, exactly. If you keep going the way you're going, eventually you're going to get the let's just be friends speech with this girl, because you're too focused on a relationship and what she's not doing that you expect her to be doing. So let's get into the third email. And this one is from a woman as well. She says, hey, Corey, I read all the information you put out there on relationships, and it seems like it would work. One article you listed below how men are easy, as once we stop bitching and emasculating him, then we get what we want. My question, I agree with you, but I've been in a relationship for 2 years. The last 11 months, my boyfriend won't have sex with me, and yes, it shocks me, and I'm positive there's no one else, but I have become a nag. Yes, I bitch all the time, and now because he constantly rejects me sexually. I'm miserable. I've tried every tactic, not bringing it up, dressing sexy, changing my style, everything I could think of, I've tried. He just refuses to have sex with me and says it's stress. Well, he's either not into you, or maybe he's just not sexually into having sex. And what I would do, let me finish on here. Let me finish because it's a short email. It's not even a relationship anymore. Yeah, you guys are like roommates now. So I'm making the choice to leave. Good for you. I know my situation is extreme, but what do you advise a woman do when her man won't and refuses to have sex with her? Well, that's when you just simply say, look, I love you, I adore you, but this lack of sex, lack of physical intimacy, doesn't work for me. I dress sexy, I try to initiate sex, and you reject me all the time. It just sounds like you're either not interested in sex or you're not interested in me. And either one of those doesn't work for me. So unless you're willing to start putting out, if you will, unless you're going to start making me feel loved and courting me like you care about me and you love me, then I think it's time we start seeing it to other people, and that we move on. And we can just be friends if you like, but I'm not interested in being in an exclusive relationship with you, because it's not a relationship anymore. We're just roommates. We're just friends with no benefits. It sucks. It's not working for me. So tell him what you want. If he promises, oh, I'm going to change him to this, like, great. Fuck my brains out right now and show me this. And show me this consistently over the next few weeks. But if nothing changes, then I want you to understand that I'm going to leave you. You need to let him know. It's about respecting yourself and loving yourself and standing up for what you want. You don't get what you deserve in life. You only get what you negotiate. So let's get into the fourth email. This guy says, hey, Coach, I've been dating a girl for more than 5 months now, and I found out in the middle of all of this that she still sees her ex. When I confronted her, she said it's hard to fully dissolve the relationship since he is fully embedded into the family, pays for her car lease, her bills, her tuition, her trip, airfares, etc. They were together for 7 years, and her attitude towards me totally changed after that. But we still talk and text every day and go out, and she still sees her ex. She's being more transparent about the ex now, but she said that she has feelings for me and doesn't know what to do, choose me or continue to be with the ex. At first, I was really emotionally involved, but with the ex in sight, I've been apathetic in this relationship and have just been going with the flow and killing time. Mind you, I haven't had sex with her yet due to the ex being there. I believe if I had sex with her, the sex would create an emotional attachment to someone that sees the ex. Am I moving in the right direction? Should I continue to go with the flow or just leave? Well, quite frankly, since you're not even having sex with this girl, you don't have a relationship with her. You're not really dating her. You're really just her gay male girlfriend that she goes out with and she talks to, and you spend your money on her, and you're not getting anywhere. So what I would do is stop calling her, stop texting her, and when she does reach out to you, say, hey, I'd love to see you when you're free to get together. Invite her, say, hey, grab a bottle of wine, come on over to my place, and we'll make dinner together. Make definite plans, and then when she comes over, hang out, have fun, and hook up. Make a move on her just like I talk about in my book. And if she's not interested in anything physical, you got to say, look, what we have is just a friendship. You're obviously still hung up on your ex, and this doesn't work for me. If you want to be with me, then make love to me now and show me that you care about me. Because otherwise, we just have a friendship. We're not even really dating. This is dysfunctional. This doesn't work for me. So unless you're willing to put more of an effort, we probably shouldn't see each other anymore until you figure out what it is that you want. And if you really want to be with me, then come over and be with me and make love to me and show me that you really care about me. Because I'm done with things being the way they are. You got to stand up for yourself and be willing to walk away if she's unwilling to give you what it is that you want. And if she lets you walk, then obviously she really wasn't that into you after all. But the only way you're going to get what you want is to communicate it, and then if she's unwilling to participate at the same adult level that you are, it's time for you to move on. So let's get into the fifth and final email. This one is actually from a woman. Actually, so there's 3 emails from women and 2 of them are from guys. And so she says, "Hey coach, I have no questions. I merely want to express my appreciation. I first noticed one of your YouTube videos due to its attention-attracting title and the fact that you bear an uncanny resemblance to 2 of my former boyfriends. As I continue to watch your videos, I was a bit awestruck that there should be at least one guy out there who gets it. Moreover, I never realized how attractive, i.e. hot, it is to be gotten because, quite frankly, it happens as infrequently and as is mythical as the sighting of the Loch Ness Monster." Well, unfortunately, as far as women go, there's a 97% of the guys that you're going to meet out there, they don't know this stuff. They don't get it. They're clueless. And so I totally get that. And that's why it's important to do the work on yourself and get clear about what you want and not to settle for a guy that just doesn't get it. Because otherwise you get hung up on a guy hoping that he's going to change, hoping that he's going to become what your knight in shining armor and learn all the things that I teach. If he's already not that, or he's not working on it presently, then keep looking, keep searching. Just use the guy as a sex playmate. Don't get serious with them. She says, "I assure you I'm going to make a few of your videos required viewing in my next relationship. But you did more for me in terms of healing. I was still hurting over not being able to connect emotionally with a number of former boyfriends with a former boyfriend who was extremely self-contained. For instance, he told me it made him happy to keep people at a distance. Although I was the one to end it, and although I know he came into my life so I could relearn how to lower my own defenses, being hung up on someone so emotionally self-enclosed felt indistinguishable from rejection. Because you look like him, but are his complete opposite when it comes to emotional openness, I think watching you and listening to your words helped me admit that, number one, deep down I was coming from a place of lack and fear that I would not meet another guy who shared the same lifestyle and philosophical views, and number two, I can do so much better and deserve more than a man who holds himself distanced and estranged from other human beings." Exactly. He, in essence, is playing games because he's trying to protect his heart, and he doesn't get how to just show up and be authentic and be in a real relationship with a woman because he's not comfortable in his own skin yet, and plus he hasn't learned these things. She says, I love how playfully cocky you are, and I love it in a way that only a woman can love it, viscerally and despite herself, and simply know that men would have more desired outcomes if they followed your lead. Thank you for the healing you've brought me. P.S. I think you should go on tour and host speeding dating events around the country so that we women have a chance to meet more of your 3% men. Well, I can do it from the comfort of my own office. I can change the world right here with my little camera and speaking my message and share it with people instead of, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of money to fly around the country and do seminars when I can actually just post this stuff to YouTube and help whoever shows up. I mean, at the end of the day, YouTube is the best TV channel in the world. There's 1.3 billion people on YouTube, and the beauty of it is that YouTube and Google will deliver exactly the right kind of people that are open to the kind of message that I have to share. So it's like, I love what I'm doing. It's great. So I appreciate you sharing with that. And what's cool about that for you guys watching is here you have a woman just confirmed all the things that I teach and why it works and how it works. So if you'd like to get my help personally, either through phone, Skype, or email coaching, you can go to any page on my website and click the products tab, and just follow the instructions for booking whatever coaching option works for you. And I will talk to you soon.